Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the number one source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.
Don't worry about it. It's all good. Hey, beautiful people. Poor little hamsters. They're so tired on that DJ wheel. They keep falling off. No worries. We can get rocking and rolling. I hope everyone is doing great tonight. It is Saturday Night Dialogues. It is August the 30th, 2025. Folks, we have a jam-packed call for you tonight. We got our announcements are going to be very unique and very different tonight than before. So let's get into some prayer and get into the call so we can get it going. Father God, we thank you as always. We give you honor, we give you glory, we give you grace. We thank you for your mercy, your love, your kindness, your unconditional love. We ask that you allow each and every one of us that are listening on this call to be able to understand and know that all of what we have shared from the Goldilocks team has always been and will continue to be from a place of unconditional love. We know that oftentimes people may get their feathers ruffled, and that's okay. We don't mind doing so as long as we know it's reaching just one person, because we know, Father God, that is doing your will, not what's popular, but what is your will. And we ask that if anyone is traveling, no matter where they are, no matter where they're listening to this, we ask that they are safe, they're sound, them, their families. And speaking of their families, we ask that you speak to everyone's hearts tonight who may be listening to us for the first time, and allow them to do what is necessary for themselves and their families regarding this blessing that you have bestowed upon us, so that they are prepared in the right manner, just like many of the members in the Goldilocks room. In your precious name we pray. Amen. All right, quick updates, folks. You all well and know that we always told you that the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues room and Goldilocks room will close when this event happens. So we're not there just yet. However, effective immediately, the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues room will be read-only. So when we started this room almost a year ago, to be exact, we were here 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, literally answering questions, pouring into as many people as possible. There's no other place in so-called Dinar land where you were able to get real, factual, vetted, verified proof with receipts information, questions answered, with the links and receipts to verify everything, for 8 hours a day for 6 days a week. Then a couple of months ago, we went to 5 days, then 3. Now, read only. We will, of course, drop Goldilocks articles in the QFS Dialogues room every day. I'll occasionally break down Goldilocks articles via in the chat, but the podcast will remain. So you will get the daily podcast on YouTube. If you don't want to miss what is really transpiring now, you must not miss the daily podcast on YouTube, whereby everything is heating up, everything is coming. Wiley's Wisdom and Notes Room will continue. open there as well. The Saturday night dialogues call will continue as well. But folks, we are transitioning. And so we've been here, like I said, for a year. We've done everything we possibly can to help you, educate you, and get you prepared. Wiley, you want to jump in here, my good man? You want to add anything to this, good sir?
Yeah, no, we truly wish you all the best. Those that have their plans sorted and got their advisories in place, congratulations. We wish you all the best as you venture
Mm-hmm.
down those roads with them. They are your new advisory. Those are the folks you should be listening to and working with to continue to learn and keep yourself structured. For those that are still sitting on the fence and we're not there, the steps are there still for you all to use. It's just going to be incumbent upon yourself to do a little more digging and work on your own to get where so many others have gotten themselves in the last year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a good point, Wiley. I'm glad you mentioned the fact that people can still, of course, they're going to have to dig for the information. They're going to have to dig for the 8 steps. They're going to dig for a lot of your guidance, your wisdom that's in the room, and also in Wiley's notes in the room. But folks, unfortunately, you're not going to have the guidance that was once available for this past year and a half. And yes, like Wiley said, congratulations for those of you who are already sorted. You already got your advisor, your teams, your structures in place. And Wiley and I talked earlier, and we mentioned how many of you already have contracts signed with your wealth advisors, where many of you already have the exact location, who will exchange your currency, who will manage and grow your wealth. You already have that set. Unfortunately, many of you listening to this, unfortunately, you don't have you don't have that you don't have that situation that other members that have been following Goldilocks have the luxury of having. Wiley and myself have been here in this room specifically for a year, and we've just poured ourselves into you all, coming from the utmost wisdom of Goldilocks from the top down. And so it's time for us to scale back, and not scale back, but scale back from the room. But it's because we're transitioning forward as things progress. So that's pretty much it. Anything you want to add,
Yeah, no,
Wiley?
and in that same vein, it's like we have our own plans that we got to go enact.
Correct.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's not that we're truly abandoning anybody. We've made it clear
Mm-hmm.
that we planted to shut this down, scale back. But like all of
Mm-hmm.
you, we put so much time into all of you to get you where you need to be. Now we got to go work on ours because we're getting to this transitional point to where you all should be thinking very seriously about your plans.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And folks, so like Wiley said, this is not goodbye. We've done the best that we could to, and so many of you, and we're going to hear from 2 more amazing members tonight. So many of you are already set. You have 2, 3, multiple teams, wealth management advisory teams in place. And we are so proud of each and every one of you. And also to all of you amazing tribe leaders who you at one time many of you were on the Guru Fufu train, and you didn't know which way was up, which way was down. you didn't know your left from your right. The weekly anxiety, 3-day weekend garbage. Oh, that's right. I think this is a 3-day weekend now. And then you found Goldilocks, you found Wiley, you found Freedom Fighter and the tribe. And now many of you became the leaders in the room because you followed the guidance that we provided, and you're set and you're sorted, ready for your exchanges and your wealth management with your professional, licensed, regulated teams. No secret sources, none of that. You all have your physical evidence in hand based on your communications, your meetings, luncheons, breakfasts, dinner dates, all kind of stuff, with the actual licensed individuals who are your bankers, your insiders. You have your own. And congratulations to all of you. And thank you, all of you amazing leaders, for your help with the other tribe members, because it would not have been able to get as far and reached out as far around the world without you all sharing your stories. So thank you all. All right. So let's get into it. Next announcement, of course, is Dee's room, which is, of course, the room where Dee drops articles around the clock from what's happening around the globe in the financial world. And you have crypto finance news with Dave, Rose Big Dog, anything related to crypto. That's where you go to ask your questions. And then, of course, Goldilocks Global Banking News, the daily podcast, which will continue until we are gone completely. But this will continue. The daily podcast you don't want to miss, because this is where you're going to get your daily dose of facts and what's happening in real time with this event, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Make sure you turn your notifications on, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Now, folks, tonight we have two amazing members that are going to share their updates. Mike N, the sniper, is going to read the articles. Peculiar Ram, I know she's somewhere back in the background lurking. She's been tired, running crazy with her children today. And so tonight we are going to touch on the global financial firms that are reporting on currency revaluations. And we're going to show you from one of those firms their projections on currencies and the movement on currencies. As usual, we are the only source in so-called dinar land that consistently shows you proof in writing from the inside sources. And speaking of inside, Goldilocks, the Goldilocks team is actually inside sources that it obtains information directly from the inside and has been bringing it to you. Even Wiley, his global presence and his global interaction in the finance world is inside information that's been given to you. Speaking of that, even certain information that Wiley has consistently dropped is so inside that it's not really public, but it's been made public to you all by Wiley. And this is why, folks, between Wiley's information and knowledge that he's provided and Goldilocks and the guidance that we've given you all in the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues room, that is why our members are the only ones that have been able to get consistently, daily success and relationships established with the actual financial institutions that are a part of this event. So, unfortunately, many of those after tonight, well, now moving forward, won't have access to us to get that guidance. But do your best to get into the room, do your research, and please, our DMs is not for wealth manager questions. The room and Wiley's wisdom between the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues room and Wiley's wisdom and notes, those two rooms, you have to dig to get the answers to your questions. And I'll say for me, my DM is not the place to ask your questions related to wealth management. I will tell you respectfully that it will be cleanup on aisle 10. I'm asking you to please respect my space moving forward. The room is where you go to get that information. We are transitioning, and I ask you to respect that. All right. Now, folks, I saw the good Nichols Zinc come on to the call, and Nichols Zinc got some powerful update coming your way. You there, Nichols Zinc?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. How you doing, good man?
Oh, doing good.
You doing
Yourself?
good? You good? Good. You on the road?
Yeah, I'm on the road. I gotta make a stop at Home Depot and Lowe's and get some stuff here tonight. So
Okay. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Man, you first tell people how long you've been in the room.
I think I got in the room, started like looking around like December of last year.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Kind of coincided with when my wife and I were kind of trying to move a bunch of our investment stuff to one wealth manager and kind of consolidate them to have a holistic view because we kind of had them spread out amongst a couple people.
Uh-huh.
And it just kind of coincided with when I found the room and
Yeah.
kind of help direct us in kind of how we were planning on trying to structure that. We have a
Yeah.
private wealth manager and a tier one wealth manager.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Now fill us in on your latest and thank you so much. Let me thank you because I appreciate your attentiveness and professionalism. When we had tried to get you on a Saturday night call several weeks ago, you had to confirm if you could, but you couldn't because I think you were moving. Um, you were doing
Yeah, that's
for the
correct. Yeah, that's correct.
yeah.
We were moving, trying to
Uh-huh.
relocate and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So get the kids set up for school and that. So
Yeah.
it's been
Yeah.
pretty busy the last month or so.
Yes, I know, but thank you so much for keeping us in the loop. You would come to the room, you'll let us know when you're available, when you weren't available. You wanted to confirm, you've confirmed the call. I appreciate your professionalism. Now, bring us up to date where you're at, man, with all this good stuff you got going on with your wealth managers.
All right, with our private wealth manager, we pretty much got everything set up with him, and we have like a holistic, uh, I guess, view of everything. He has
Mm-hmm.
software program. We have all our investments and stuff through work and investments outside of work. So
Uh-huh.
it's in one spot we can go to, and we can see how it's adjusting on a daily basis. And he's kind of pushed us forward toward tax advantage accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So we've kind of been funding that stuff, and then he helped us through with moving, the selling, and purchasing of our home, and that's just kind of been, I don't want to say on cruise control, but it's been on cruise control. So the next item on the list is to address a trust with him and set up the 529s for our kids.
Okay.
On the tier one wealth management side, we got just an account open with them, but that's kind of where my update I kind of wanted to focus on was that side. I know a lot of members and stuff
Mm-hmm.
that talked about with private wealth managers, kind of
Mm-hmm.
talk the devaluing of the dollar and currency
Mm-hmm.
potentially on the horizon, or rates being adjusted in that.
Mm-hmm.
So the main thing that I wanted to touch on was my tier one wealth manager invited me to a webinar at the beginning of August. It was kind of just a webinar that talk about the different evolving U.S. policies and the landscapes with tariffs and stuff like that. And then they touched
Mm-hmm.
base on some items that were essentially, I guess, unpacking the one big beautiful bill to
Mm-hmm.
kind of let their clients know kind of what's going on with the markets and the economy and what they see on the horizon potentially coming down the pipeline. So that was what I wanted to focus on because there was a couple things that stood out to me and
Mm-hmm.
what it really, I guess it was they're lining up with what they're telling us is almost identical to the private wealth manager. So that's coming from the tier one bank side. So I thought that
Mm-hmm.
was interesting. So
Mm-hmm.
that was what I would touch base on. They kind of went over just some things that changed with the one big beautiful bill, some changes to the 529s. They talked about
Mm-hmm.
tariffs. They talked about Fed rate that they could see a potential percentage point for rate cuts on the horizon. And what they
Mm-hmm.
mentioned to that were people that own businesses and stuff. Um, as rates come down, they may suggest to their clients it might be time to pivot or start selling some assets or transferring stuff to the next generation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and by means of potentially what they call the generator retained annuity trust.
Mm-hmm.
So basically when that happens, you may have a lower hurdle rate, and it might make it worthwhile to transfer your business to the next generation. So that was
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, After they talked about the tariffs and stuff like that, they kind of went into how the tariffs affect different companies. If they're larger companies, they
Mm-hmm.
generally, if they have over like 500 employees or so, they generally trade with five or more other countries based on where they get their goods or
Mm-hmm.
services and stuff like that. So they're
Mm-hmm.
less affected by the tariffs. Where smaller companies, say 50, 20 employees or less, they generally are less flexible because they only import from 1 to 4 different countries. So
Countries,
there's
right?
less flexibility with those people. They
Mm-hmm.
briefly touched on AI, not much, but the interesting part was they talked about the dollar devaluing and its effects. So
Mm-hmm.
year to date, they're seeing the weakening of the dollar that we all have known about. And as it
Mm-hmm.
continues to decline, that's a result of the U.S. budget and trade deficits.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they talked about what they feel they should do, their investors or clients should do about prospects for a weaker dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, they were talking about having exposure to international assets, especially if you're a U.S. based dollar investor. It's a good
Mm-hmm.
idea to give you exposure to international currencies. So those are
Mm-hmm.
like being globally diversified with equities and stuff like that is another way for
Mm-hmm.
you to gain exposure to international currencies. And they
Mm-hmm.
said that this kind of diversification at this time is welcomed, not just to diversify based on different regions and different kinds of sectors weighing in, but also the currency component,
Mm-hmm.
which generally speaking, they like to lead you, like I said, to the global diversified equity allocations as they try to help their clients build their portfolios with the current conditions. Um, so I thought that was
Pause,
interesting
pause,
from
pause
the
right there.
tier one side.
And you're reading this. This is this your notes or is this their like newsletter?
I took notes and kind of in
Okay.
my own words
Gotcha. Okay.
because it was
Okay.
a
Okay.
webinar. So once the webinar was done, I pretty much didn't have access to it. And then they gave me a short window to go back, and I kind of tried to refine my notes so that way
Mm-hmm.
I could give a, I guess, thorough update for
Mm-hmm.
lack of a better word, or an update that, you know, made sense because
Mm-hmm.
my original notes weren't the greatest. But yeah, this is my notes from what I was listening to.
And this is from the tier one bank.
Correct.
That's it. Yeah, very interesting, which coincides with the information that you've gotten from your private wealth management firm.
Correct.
So that's
But they
the
said, basically that's what they're seeing. But, obviously you still need to have your one-on-one discussions with your advisors. I mean, depending
mm-hmm.
on what you want to accomplish and how you yourself think about the economy and market outlooks, you have to have those discussions. That's just what they're seeing. But
Mm-hmm.
what I wrote down was, then they said, which is why it's always important to begin with a plan.
Yes, that's exactly what we've been stressing for everyone is having a plan. Now, you mentioned in your notes, you mentioned several things that we're actually going to go over tonight, and that's a weakening of the dollar, which will affect international markets. Which, folks, that is what he's mentioning. He actually mentioned it. It's international currencies. And and for those that have been following Goldilocks for quite some time, and you've been here in the room, you've been paying attention on Saturday Night Dialogues, the last several Saturdays, the number one article that we open with is the article that we shared that was leaked from the Trump administration from April of last year, that currency revaluation will likely be a priority of the second Trump administration when he came back into office due to the purpose of the tariffs, the trade deficit, and how it will be done is through weakening of the dollar. Currency revaluation will come from the weakening of the dollar. That was the article you all have been following. You've been hearing it for the last several Saturdays. And then here, Nichols Inc. and his wealth managers, the firm, telling the same thing. But they're not saying, their language is not currency revaluation, folks. Weakening of the dollar. And we're going to get into more of this tonight because there's new information out relative to this. But did that, when you heard that on that webinar, did you draw that correlation, that connection there with weakening of the dollar?
I listened to it again, and they directly stated that that's basically a way to have, I guess, be diversified and have exposure not only to the different regions but also currency components. They directly stated.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we're going to show you folks tonight with graphs, data from one of the international firms on their newsletter, what they're showing. And folks, this is not just with one firm over here, one tier bank over there, this other bank. No, this is across the board. Multiple firms. It's widely known. And it's, folks, it is the currency rates. We all know 1 + 1 is 2. It's a mathematical equation. Exchange rates also, it's a mechanism. Just like a math equation is a mechanism, folks, the rates on currencies, it's a mechanism. It's math. But it has to come from somewhere. Just like weakening of the dollar, it's cause and effect. Weakening of the dollar is a cause. The effect is currencies around the world will begin to move up and are beginning to move up. But it's other dynamics that go into play with it. We're going to explain some of that tonight. Anything else that you wanted to share, Nichols?
Yeah, I mean, there's just one thing that kind of stuck out to me, that I think everybody should keep in mind is that, there's things we can control and cannot control. Tariffs, market returns, Fed rates, expiration dates of tax bills and stuff like that are things we can't control. Right. So my notes from that were that they basically are telling you to focus on what you can control, and that's building out your financial plans, thinking about your short-term, long-term goals, and they're able to help us fulfill that and what that looks for someone based on those goals for their lifestyle and legacy standpoint for that type of outlook. So they're based on your goals, your lifestyle, your legacy output. That's how they're going to help make decisions to put right assets into the right buckets for you to achieve those goals.
There it is. And speaking of Fed rates and all that, we're going to touch on that tonight, folks, and how it affects currencies. Wally, you want to jump in here? I know this is all of what you've been preaching for quite some time. Goals, long-term, short-term.
Yeah, congratulations, Nichols, for being sorted. Sounds like you had a plan in place, but we were able to help mesh a few things to help get some things under your belt and some knowledge that you were able to diversify and talk about different things. But I think the key thing here this evening is what you mentioned about the diversification into foreign markets and currencies. That's your tier one bank mirroring what the private wealth manager told you. If nobody's hearing anything tonight, you should hear that. And that is, these banks are talking about this. Are you working with your advisors to build a level that you can get to that point to talk about currencies and emerging markets with them? They know about this. They're watching it. You need to solidify those relationships to get to that point. They know. They're talking about it. You need to start having conversations with them.
And I find it very interesting, Wiley, that the tier one bank now having this webinar, because for a while, the tier ones didn't seem as if they were too forthcoming with the data and analysis as much as the private wealth management firms were. But now we see the tier ones are opening up with this as well. to share.
because they see that writing on the wall, and Nichols comes in there very professionally. He already has some stuff spread out. Like he said, he's trying to do a more holistic approach, saying, hey, here's what I got. Let's structure this. By the way, I've got some of this. And then they just start opening up, having the conversation and say, oh, by the way, here's a webinar we want you to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he didn't even
Mm-hmm.
tell me. I got it in my email, and I seen him like I can't pass this up. So I was in the bank doing some banking for um, my new housing and stuff like that. I was in talking to it was actually the branch manager because the wealth manager wasn't in, and I said I just want to thank them for passing that on to me. And they said, well, yeah, we're really big on educating our clients. We want them to hear what's going on and what we're viewing on the markets. We want them to be as educated as us. So the last time I talked to them, I thanked them for sending that my way and told them I appreciate it and send them my way every month. I said I like to listen to that stuff. He said make a note in my file. So and we actually have a meeting with him this coming Friday to talk about some stuff.
See, and I love that. They want you as educated as they are. So this
Mm-hmm.
is a mutual relationship that's got a bi-directional information stream back and forth. That's
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal. I love the fact you went to them to talk about your new house and your new mortgage, and you pulled them into that plan. Hey, what do you know I don't know about this market? How can you help us? I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That's you using your team, and they loved it too because they want to be there in the long term for your growth. And a home is probably one of the biggest expense anyone will ever have. So they love being a part and included on that. So way to fold that in there. Congratulations. Well done.
And I guess the other thing I wanted to stress is it's about the relationship. You guys are correct on that. And it's not just your relationship with, the wealth managers. I mean, we have a relationship with a lender that's a pretty good relationship. So when we were buying the house, the lender actually shopped around for rates for us. We didn't even have to do it.
You're so right.
Took
You're so right. Even
took
at the
took
lender level, that relationship is going to make a big difference in them talking to you versus the person they see on a piece of paper.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I always try to make it a point to go into the bank to do stuff just to say hi.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's smart. So you can keep the fire lit and keep the communication going.
But yeah, it's
Very
been
wise.
good. So that was just what I wanted to provide was the tier one side is mirroring the private wealth side, which
Mm-hmm.
and they're you know they don't directly tell you, but if you have the relationship, they'll provide you the information. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I haven't even brought up anything about holding currencies to either of them.
Yeah, see, they're telling you about it, and you haven't even broached the subject with them yet. Now I can't wait for
Right.
when you go back to say, "Oh, hey, by the way, I heard something about this. I hold some of that. Let's talk about that." And I guarantee you, that's a whole nother door and an avenue is going to open up for you too.
Yep, absolutely. And just think about it, folks. For a year now, Nichols Inc. is sharing with you what he's getting from his tier one. This is what Wiley and myself, for a year, for a year, have been our eight steps. Number one, establish a relationship at a tier one. Open an account at a tier one bank. That's number one of the 8 steps. Going back to July of 2024, we've been telling you a year in advance to get ready and how to get ready. No coincidence. Now it's coming out in the open with some of these tier ones. Yeah. Nichols
Yeah,
Inc., thank you, my
they're just
good
flat out
man.
talking about it. Freedom.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
ain't no secret source. I can't tell you about that. Oh, the banks don't know because trust me, the
Right.
banks know, folks. They know. They're following this. They're watching it because that's what they do.
That's what they do. You're right, Wally. The banks know, folks, the people that are telling you that they have these sources, they don't know.
Right.
But they have to project a level of intelligence in order for you to believe they know so that you keep coming back. But I'm not going to go into that. I want to hurt no feelings tonight. So, but
But
Congratulations,
in
man.
that, it's how Nichols
Mhm.
approached it. It's how he went in. It's the
Yes.
method, the methodicalness, the mediocre of finance that he understood to walk in there and
Hmm.
say, "Hey, I need to develop a relationship. I've got this over here. I want to bring it in under one person. Are you that guy? Can you help us with
Hmm.
this?" They're talking about tax savings accounts and all kinds of things,
Hmm.
529s for the kids, getting them sorted there.
Hmm.
I mean, they love structuring this stuff for you folks. This is what they do every day. But
Right.
in that, it's how you have the conversation and
Hmm.
what you're saying matters. When you start using the terms that exist in this community, boy, that is a
Mm.
non sequitur. That is not going to get you
Mhm.
started off on the right foot because the bankers don't understand those terms.
Mm-mm.
You're not speaking their language. You have to speak the language they understand to get going down that path. And that's the biggest challenge many are going to have who haven't started the 8 steps. You got to
Mhm.
speak banking language, not
Mhm.
dinar currency language.
Mhm. Yeah, because soon as you start speaking that dinar currency language, they in their back of their mind, they put you in a box of someone that they don't want to deal with. So they would just
Yeah.
tell you, "Oh, this is a scam," or we
We're
don't,
not involved. We ain't going
mm-hmm,
to touch your money unless you bought it from us. I mean, they're going to tell
mm-hmm,
you everything to get rid of you. They're going to tell you
mm-hmm,
anything and everything because they're rolling their eyes to the back of their head and saying, oh, and then they're tuning out. How do I get this guy out of my desk and office as soon as possible?
mm-hmm. And I want to go back to something you mentioned a few minutes ago, Wiley, and it's so important. And with Nichols Inc. is that he didn't have to mention anything about currencies. Through their webinar, they're saying, hey, look, and this is going out, folks, to all of the relevant clients that their wealth advisors in that tier one is connected to. They're saying, hey, the dollar's getting weaker. Our firm, our bank, our investment arm is looking into international currencies, and we're advising our clients of the potential in international currencies. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you
And
And
you can
I like
see
how
it.
they say it too. It's so slick. You know, they kind of
mm-hmm.
slide it in there a bit, and you
Mm-hmm.
kind of almost miss it. And kind of because I've gotten some things like that from my personal, and they just kind of throw it in there in a sentence and just kind of move on,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of like they know.
Mm-hmm. What were you gonna say, Nickel?
I was just going to say you can kind of see what they're talking about, having global diversified equities. If you just look at international funds, I mean, they're up
Mm-hmm.
pretty decent percentage year to date with the yield.
Yep, and we're gonna see some of that tonight. That's more of what we're gonna see tonight as well. Yeah, we're gonna share some of that. It's all a part of what Goldilocks is putting out, and we're gonna share that tonight as well. Absolutely. And this is where I was saying before earlier. This is math, folks. This is an equation. It's no just an arbitrary number, a rate that just pops up because someone said it's the rate. It doesn't work like that.
No,
You know. So, man, congratulations, Nichols. Man, you like Wiley said, you did a phenomenal job. You're professional. You did your homework. I know you're in the room lurking, getting information as well. You bring so much good energy to the room when you chime in. Man, we appreciate you sharing tonight as well. Anything else you wanted to share?
No, that was it. But we appreciate you as well. I mean, learned a lot and look forward to seeing the stuff that you guys drop and just trying to
Mm-hmm.
research it. So I appreciate that.
Oh man, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. All
Nichols,
right.
you know more than you realize you know, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that there was. I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't anything he said or you heard that you didn't have a grasp on, that you haven't heard or didn't
Right.
understand, and I guarantee you. The depth of that's even deeper yet. If you've been with us
Mm-hmm.
for that while, you've heard us talk about different things. You'd be
Mm-hmm.
surprised when he starts running things across you. It's just going to be a light bulb for you. Yep, I'm aware of that. Yeah, and some of the stuff I have dropped, they won't bring it out to you. That's one of the reasons I've kind of dropped it a bit because sometimes you have to ask for some of those things. You got to mention them. You got to kind of tell them, I'm interested. Can you talk about that? Because not all these guys are just going to roll all that out for an individual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the private wealth manager kind of, you got to tell him your goals, he's kind of just ask you questions like, why is, why do you want to trust? Why are you here? Someone your age, type of deal. They're just getting a feel for what your goals are, and then you set them out your goals, and then they'll start structuring that, and then it's not like you're gonna just blitz the quarterback and get the plan right off the bat. I mean,
Right.
you gotta set it up, and
Mhm.
they're gonna take you through. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna address this now, and then the next meeting we're gonna address that, and the next
Mhm.
meeting we're gonna address that, and they get you set up. It's not you just. I mean, that's why I haven't really brought anything up. I'm just kind of
Mhm.
telling them what our goals are, and then we're getting
Mhm.
structured, and then we'll just keep evolving from there.
Yep, kind of like Google Maps. Hey, I want to go from here to there, but while I'm there, I want to stop at a couple tourist sites. I want to check out the local things here, and then Google's going to say, "Okay, let's draw up that plan. Hey, here's the fastest route, but here's the most scenic route, and that's what he's
Mhm.
going to do. He's going to develop this various plans for you. It's like, here's what this looks like. Here's what this looks like. So he's kind of wanting to know where you're at to get in your headspace, so he can develop that plan and that structure and how that's going to work for you best. So I love it. Keep going, keep growing, and you're off to a great start, Nichols. Truly are.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Congratulations.
appreciate you both.
Yes, sir. Congratulations,
Yeah.
man. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Now we will
See,
have,
Freedom, can I chime in
yeah,
here real quick?
of course.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Go ahead. Please do.
I like Nichols here. You know why? Because he kind of knew what he was doing. He knew what he needed to do. All we did was
Mhm.
give him a refresher and a bit of a tune-up, plus a little
Right.
education, and he just took with that. He bundled it into what he knew, and he went in and made it happen for himself and his family.
Amazing. And to see that he already had the private wealth manager relationship existing, then he capitalized on that with what he got from the room, yourself, Goldilocks.
Hmm.
Then he was able to further get a nudge with the tier one when he got the invite for the webinar, and lo and behold, the webinar talking about weakening of the dollar, tariffs, current international currency, so forth and so on. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
Well, what I would love to be the fly on the wall is when he walks in to broach
Uh-huh.
that subject and level
Right.
up, because their eyes are
Right.
going to be like, "What? You're into
What?
this? Okay, what can we do for you there? Well, here we got this. We're looking at that. We can do some things. We can structure it. I mean, it's going to be a whole another just stacking on top of what he stacked.
Yeah.
That's leveling it up.
And as you know better than anyone, when he opens up to tell them now that they've opened up to tell him what they're doing, first question they're going to ask, how much do you have?
100%. What do you say we get some accounts set up? What do you say you
Right.
bring that in and we pre-certify that, validate it, make sure you're good to go.
Mhm.
I love that. He don't
Yeah.
even know it yet, but he's
Mhm.
setting past go and he's on ready.
Yep. Absolutely. But it's amazing that here that they have in that webinar. I'm not sure if it was the first webinar that they've had, and I'm not sure if Nichols is aware or not. But this is, I would imagine that for them, this is that tier one. This is a newer webinar to put that out to their clients because this is all new information that is developing as a result of tariffs
Mm-hmm.
and the markets reacting, whereby currencies are being affected in the weakening of the dollar.
The game's changing and they're changing with it.
Yep, absolutely. Man,
All
it's
right,
it's,
you
it's
continue
amazing.
on. I want to throw that in there because I can just picture
Yeah.
his wealth manager's face when he comes back to say, "Hey, a couple things I noticed."
Uh, yeah. It's going to be what? How much do you have, and which currencies do you have, nickel? Ah,
Yeah, let's
let's
get to
get.
work. Let's do some things with that. Yeah,
Uh,
they'd be surprised
yeah.
because he won't be the first person we've helped that we know some of the things that have happened for some of the ladies in the group that are
Mm-hmm.
well established. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just amazing how far some of these people have really got just by learning a few things,
Mm-hmm.
mentioning them back to them, and then that door opens, that crack opens a bit to put a little light
Mm-hmm.
in there, and you can kind of say some things, and next thing you know,
Mm-hmm.
boom. I mean, they got people fighting over them. I'm surprised there ain't scrapping out in the alley over them.
Right. And Nickel said something that in that you've hit home all the time, and we stress so much in the room is establishing a relationship and discuss your goals. That's what he's talking
100%.
about. Yep.
You don't want these guys flying blind for you. You really want to lay out your plan and what you're looking for, and don't bury them in just this,
Mm-hmm.
this. Start small. This is not a
Mm-hmm.
marathon. Well, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You want to take your
Mm-hmm.
time and really grow in this and build. Um, and the biggest thing I'd say is never spend your capital. Protect that capital at all cost and only work your plans off interest. Whatever you're going to do, use the interest earnings. That way, this money is always, always there.
That's it.
Generational wealth and control.
That's it. Absolutely.
All right, my
Absolutely.
good man. We can go on.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. We'll jump right into it. We'll bring the sniper on. And these articles, Wally, is going to touch right on exactly what Nichols Inc. and the tier one private wealth. It's exactly what he talked about. That's what we're going to get on tonight. Exactly. Sniper, my good man.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. What you think about the fact? Not probably. I know, because I know your situation. A lot of what you just heard from Nickel, these are conversations you've already had several times with your wealth management firm, private wealth management firm.
They have been on top of it. And I will tell you this. Did Nichols read all the articles first? Did he just preview everything that's going on?
I know. It's exactly what we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, I've had a lot of conversations with my team, and let me tell you something. They are prepared. They're ready, and they're setting up what they're doing. There's nothing that's stopping them from moving forward in this process. It's game time.
Yep. Absolutely.
Man, I forgot to ask Nichols if he signed his NDA.
Nichols, hold on. Let me Nichols, unmute. You can unmute Nichols. Oh man.
I had to throw that in there.
You there?
Yeah, we're here.
You hear
We
me?
can hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I didn't sign no NDA.
100%. Because everything you're talking about is fully public.
Public information. Oh man. Unbelievable. The
Yeah.
foo-foo-ism is real in the field.
Yeah.
It's real.
Don't let fear paralyze you in this, folks. This is new for so many of you, but don't be fearful to approach it. It's yours. Own it.
Mhm.
Go find out. Go talk to these licensed, experienced people that can do this for you. It will
That's right.
be the biggest advantage you ever give yourself in your entire life.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Sniper. We're going to start out. And just like with Nichols Inc. and his in the tier one talked about the weakening of the dollar, tariffs, currency, international currencies movement as a result of tariffs and weakening of the dollar. Sniper, go ahead and read our first one for tonight as usual. What does this say? And this is from April of 2024, folks. Remember, this is the leak that the Goldilocks team got that came from the inside of the Trump administration. Go ahead, Sniper.
Absolutely. Currency revaluation is likely to be a priority for some members of the potential second Trump administration, mainly because of the viewpoint that an overvalued dollar contributes to a trade deficit, said one former Trump administration official, adding that Lighthizer and his team are the primary advocates for the approach. But weakening the dollar could have far-reaching consequences, from sending consumer prices for imported products soaring to inviting retaliation from the other countries and threatening the dollar's role as a world reserve currency, which would undermine U.S. sanctions on adversaries like Iran and Russia.
Folks, let me explain it to you like this, because I hope that it is finally sinking in to anyone that's hearing this. You've heard it several times. Posted by Goldilocks. Related to how these other currencies, the currencies that many of us hold, will get stronger. The weakening of the dollar, tariffs the weakening of the dollar has been in motion for quite some time. Gold, solidifying gold in on July 1st, and all of the central banks, all the banks around the world. You got to realize gold is the ultimate safe haven as a substitute for investors to invest in gold, to move away from the US dollar. Think of it like when it comes to currencies and currencies moving up in value, in rate. I think of a what do you call those? A seesaw. So seesaw, you have two sides to the seesaw. When one side is up, the other side is down. When the other side goes up, the other side goes down. So that seesaw, think of it as the US dollar. The US dollar has been the world's reserve currency for 50 plus years, meaning it has been the dominant currency around the world that many countries have not utilized their own currencies in international trade because the US dollar was so strong. A lot of them used the US dollar instead. They used the US dollar instead of their own currencies. So think of that seesaw. If the US dollar is on one side of the seesaw and it's up, think of the value of the dollar up. So the other side of the seesaw, what is it? It's down. Those are the other currencies around the world that have been down in rate. So if the US dollar is getting weaker, that seesaw now is beginning to shift. So where that weak dollar it was up at one time and it was dominant at one time, as it begins to come like a seesaw, that one side is up and it starts to go down, the other side, where many of those currencies that many folks hold, they're beginning to go up. The seesaw. So in fact, Wiley, if you don't mind, if you're okay with touching on something that you and I spoke about earlier about the dollar not being used in oil. If you can touch on that or not, but that's a little bit on the subject. Are you able to unmute? If not, okay. Well, he's probably not able to unmute. But think of a seesaw, folks, where one side is the dollar, the other side is the currencies that many of us hold. The currencies that many of us hold have been down low. Why? Because the dollar has been up and strong. That's beginning to shift now. All right, and then we're going to touch on and see in writing exactly what's happening. Now, Sniper, what we're going to do, folks, one of our members, I won't say which one. Well, I guess too late. Already did. His name is on it. But his private wealth management firm shared. This is public information. Just like Nichols Zink's Tier 1 is shared public information about what's happening in international markets. Here, one of our members shared what his private wealth management firm shared in a newsletter, and many folks are getting similar newsletters from their private wealth management firms. Exactly what Nichols Zink's Tier 1 bank shared with him. But they all have their own language that they're speaking, but they're saying the same thing. Exactly. Now, let's touch on this. And folks, if you dare to contact this firm without being prepared, because the name of the firm is in there, but if you dare to contact this firm without being prepared, that's on you. I would highly suggest you get into the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues room. I would highly suggest you go to the syllabus and click on the calls. I would highly suggest you go to YouTube and listen to the recordings so you can prepare yourself to get prepared and have a plan. So, my good man, Sniper, if you can touch on, folks, you all have heard, I would imagine, of Charles Schwab, international firm, private firm. This is what they're sharing with their clients. It's going to sound familiar to you all. Let's jump right into this, my good man.
Yes, sir. Will a weak dollar enhance international returns?
1 second, beloved. They open it right up and ask a question out the top of what the title of the article is. Will a weak dollar enhance international returns? Now, you could just pause right there. It's already going to tell you this is exactly what the tier one was sharing with Nichols Inc. And this article is from 5 days ago, August the 25th. Will a weak dollar, as a matter of fact, just to remind you all, currency revaluation is likely to be a priority for some members of a potential second Trump administration, mainly because of the viewpoint that an overvalued dollar contributes to the trade deficit, but weakening the dollar could have other far-reaching consequences. Go ahead, young man.
Yep. International stocks have outperformed the broad U.S. stock market so far this year. If the U.S. dollar continues to weaken, it could boost international returns even more.
Okay, pause 1 second. Is this not what Nichols Inc.'s Tier 1 bank just went over with him and their webinar, Sniper?
It is. That's why did he see it?
And he said that the Tier 1 bank finally shared with him the same thing that his private wealth management firm had shared with him. So now his Tier 1 is sharing the same thing. Weakening of the dollar could boost international returns even more. Folks, international currencies is a part of this. Good, young man. The fall in the dollar boosts international returns.
Yep. U.S. policy, volatility, and the prospect of a slower U.S. economic growth resulted in a decline in the value of the U.S. dollar since the beginning of this year. Interest rates on the government debt in the U.S. remain elevated relative to the other countries. There is scope for this differential to continue and narrow, resulting in further weakness in the U.S. dollar.
Further weakness of the U.S. dollar. Folks, remember, when you hear this about weakening of the dollar, think of the seesaw. As the U.S. dollar gets weaker, that's the one side of the seesaw where it's elevated, it's up. But as it gets weaker, the other side of the seesaw that was down on the ground, low in the dirt, devalued, it begins to go up. Those currencies begin to go up. This is how currencies in the new digital banking system with gold backing, with the tariffs now, so forth and so on. This is how the currency rates begin to move. This is how the currency rates begin to materialize. This is how the currency rates start to float. It's from the volatility. There had to be a shock to the system. The tariffs, gold, weakening of the dollar, shock to the system. Go, young man.
Yep. Let me continue from the.
Yeah, there is a potential.
Yep. There's a potential for narrowing should the Federal Reserve restart the rate cuts. While the European Central Bank appears to be at or near the end of its rate cutting cycle, and as countries like Germany accelerate fiscal spending, reducing the gap between German and U.S. government bond yields.
Mm-hmm. The mirror of a decline, you can hit that too, right? Right under that chart.
Okay. The mirror of a decline and the dollar is a stronger foreign currency. The effect of a stronger euro relative to the U.S. dollar means returns earned overseas in euros exchanged into more dollars, which boosts returns for the U.S. investors. However, the currency impact of the dollar has not always boosted international stock returns as it has this year, as you can see in the chart below.
Now let's go to the chart below. Folks, the chart below, I shared the screenshot right here. Currency impact over time. It's circled in red with an arrow to the far right. The gold, you see the gold line, which is the chart. This, look at it as a candlestick. It shows the upward trajectory of the currencies and the impact of what is happening with the weakening of the dollar. And as you see, year to date, if you look below year to date, 2025, to the left is previous years, 2024, 2023, so forth and so on. But you see the strengthening of the currencies, the international currencies are getting stronger. And if anyone takes a look at the MSCI in here as well, I know Sniper has, this is the MSCI is another international trading index that Vietnam is likely to be upgraded by next year. That will be another potentially, it is expected for another spike in the Vietnamese dong when that occurs. This is why we've continuously told you that there will be multiple opportunities to exchange. The float, the exchange rate, specifically with the dong, is expected to continue to float for upwards of 3 to 5 years. So think of multiple exit strategies that you can potentially have. But this chart shows the currency impact over time. It shows the strengthening of currencies as a result of the weakening of the dollar. So this is a part of the mechanism. This is a part of the equation. How it's no secret currencies are getting stronger. The banks, private wealth management firms, international firms, and now you hear from Nichols Inc., tier ones, they're talking about it. They're sharing it publicly with their clients. No secrets. There's never been a secret about any of this. This is a public, Forex is a public international market. Why in the world for something that is public where every trillions and trillions of dollars are traded on Forex daily? Daily. And it's all public information, public knowledge. The U.S. Treasury is involved. The International Monetary Fund is involved. The World Bank is involved. Every central bank around the world that governs the currencies that we hold is involved. Mom and pop banks involved. The credit unions, currency exchange centers, all involved. These are all public entities, public financial institutions, but this is a secret that only a few sources know about? Okay, boo-boo, if you say so, boo-boo. Scooby-Doo. Okay, so this makes no sense. Just think about it, Sniper. This is a public event where every central bank, every bank, regulations, lawmakers, Congress passed regulations. Vietnam, Iraq has passed regulations for the new digital economy. But this is a secret that only a few people know about that will come to the internet and tell you?
I got a bridge in Brooklyn for sale right now if you believe any of
that. Unbelievable. All right, beloved. Let's jump right into the next one, folks. And here, Sniper is going to touch on this from Goldilocks. This goes to show what is involved with determining the rate, the fluctuating of the rate, not the final rate of a $2, $3, $5, $6 rate. It doesn't work that way. There's a mechanism and there's an equation to how rates are determined through supply and demand in the open market. And Goldilocks, and we've shared it several calls before, over the last 5 years, over 3,000 posts by Goldilocks in the last 5 years talking about how the RV will happen through trade. This is why Goldilocks coined the phrase to watch the water, because this is where currencies move on the water in trade through supply and demand. But now that many of these countries are shifting away from utilizing the US dollar in their trade, because why? The dollar's getting weaker. So now these countries are forced to use their own currencies in trade. Think billions daily transacted. This is where the currency rates will begin to move, because the currencies have to be utilized more in order for the value of the currencies. It's supply and demand. The value of the dong, the dinar, and all the rest of these currencies, they were low, folks, because they were not in high demand. In trade, they were only high in demand for the 1% in dinar land. That doesn't count for anything related to the value. It's the demand for the demand in the international markets was high for the US dollar. That's why the US dollar has been so strong, because the demand has been consistently high for the US dollar. Iraq would, for so long, for all of their transactions in Iraq, was in US dollars. They just, as of January 2024, removed the US dollar in trade and imports to just use the dinar. Now in Iraq, the remaining usage of the US dollar is strictly for their oil transactions. That's it. Everything else is in the Iraqi dinar, and also some other currencies like the Chinese yuan, the British pound, and others. Vietnam, they've utilized the US dollar for so long. That's why Vietnamese dong has been low, because the demand was low. All of these currencies, folks, that many of us hold, their demand was low. That's why their rates have been low. And because of the central banks of those countries, they have manipulated and devalued their currencies, they were able to get away with it. So that's why they've had these large surpluses with the United States. But now Trump comes back in. Currency revaluation is likely to be priority of the second Trump administration through the overvalued dollar in trade. Let's go right into this one, my good man. You can start.
Yes, sir. If the U.S. bond market breaks, example, experiences a sharp sell-off, rising yields, or a loss in confidence, and the Federal Reserve responds by lowering interest rates, the impact of the Vietnamese dong, VND, would depend on several interconnected factors. Here are concise analysis.
Okay, before he gets into that, beautiful folks, just listen to this. What Goldilocks is sharing is that there's a direct correlation between the Federal Reserve possibly lowering interest rates and the Vietnamese dong being impacted. See, this is why I'm sharing with you all that rates don't just poof, this is the rate. It's $3 because of assets and ground. No. Nobody can show. If anyone continues to tell you that, ask for proof. Say, excuse me, sir, ma'am, Ernie Bird, and all the other puppets and muppets that are out there. Can you show me how is the rate determined? I want to see it in writing. I don't want to hear that you have these sources in your contact. No, I want to see it in writing. Where's the receipts? This is how the rate is determined. Ask for them. What's wrong with that? Why not ask for them? Do you not deserve the people that you listen to? Do you not deserve? Do you not want to know how the rates are derived? We're going to show you. Goldilocks has been showing you. We're going to give you some more proof. What Mike Sniper is about to read are different factors that go into how the rates are determined. And we already saw the President Trump and directly from his administration that currency revaluation is a likely priority of the second Trump administration. What is it tied? What does he tie into? Tariffs, trade, weakening of the dollar, currency revaluation, trade, weakening of the dollar, currency revaluation, trade, tariffs, and weakening of the dollar. These are mechanisms that determine how currencies will be revalued. In writing. This is in writing. It's a mathematical equation, folks. It's a mechanism of how it's math. It's numbers. It's not. It's like if you have like Nichols Inc. just sold his house and moved to another house. If you ever sold a house, you don't just put a number on it, pull it out your Depends or your drawers. You don't just pull a number. Doesn't work like that. There's so many different variables involved. Good, young man.
Yep. A U.S. interest rate cuts and the USD.
And didn't Nichols Inc. Tier 1 Bank talk about this with him too? Interest rate cuts?
Yes, he did.
Go ahead.
Yep. Lower U.S. interest rates typically weaken the U.S. dollar as investors seek higher yields everywhere else. A weaker U.S. dollar could reduce depreciation pressure on the VND, potentially allowing it to strengthen relative to the USD.
Mm-hmm.
The Vietnamese monetary policy, the State Bank of Vietnam manages the VND via a crawling peg, adjusting the exchange rate daily with a trading band.
Mm-hmm.
If the USD weakens, the SBV might allow the VND to appreciate modestly to support exports and control inflation.
Mm-hmm.
But aggressive strength is unlikely due to the Vietnam export-driven economy.
Let me touch on that. Folks, we're going to get on this. We're going to get to this in a little bit, where Goldilocks shares about what's called a trading band. What this is, folks, is a range. Goldilocks actually has data from international banking sources that shows the range via percentage-wise of the expected rate of the Vietnamese dong. Goldilocks has access to this information for any currency. The Vietnamese dong is showing a stronger band at the moment than the others. What the trading band, now, in fact, I'll say this. Earlier this week, Goldilocks and I were speaking, and Goldilocks asked my opinion if it would be beneficial to put out an article that shows specific numbers. And I said, Goldilocks, I'm glad you asked me. Please, I would highly suggest not to put that article out, because it would cause such an uproar in the confusion of people, because when folks see numbers, they're emotionally attached to any number they see. So many people already emotionally attached to seeing $5 here, $6 here, even if it's AI on YouTube that's posting it. Emotional attachments. And I didn't want the room to go in a tailspin. Not because the number was a negative, bad number. No, just a number in general. But the bands, the trading bands, shows the range, which is moving upward, of the percentage of how much the rate in the short term is expected to move to. There are different milestones, and this is why Goldilocks has not only stated just in an article, but showed the proof that the rates are expected to fluctuate upwards of 3 to 5 years, continuously moving up. There's these Bollinger. Think of, in the trading world, let's talk Forex. A Forex trader can see the potential range of a currency, not just currencies, but any asset that's traded, whether it's, I don't want to I won't get too technical, but by 30 seconds, what the potential range would be for a currency within the next 30 seconds, a minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, a day, 2 days, 7 days, 6 months, 12 months, so forth and so on. Years can see the range. It's all statistical analysis from international investors that participate on the multi-trillion-dollar a day industry called Forex. It's all mathematical analysis. And Goldilocks has access to see what the potential range in the Vietnamese dong will be. And we just showed you a chart from an international firm that's showing the strengthening of currencies. This is why Goldilocks, this is why Wiley, myself have stressed the importance of establishing a relationship. Nickel Zink just told you, having a plan is so important. Good, young man. You can continue.
Yep. Capital flows and trade. A weaker USD could lower the import costs and boost Vietnam's exports, supporting economic growth and potentially stabilizing or strengthening the VND.
One
However,
second, beloved. One second, beloved. See, folks, here is another mathematical equation. Here is another seesaw, another cause and effect of how rates move. A weaker US dollar could lower import costs and boost Vietnam's exports, supporting economic growth and potentially stabilizing or strengthening the Vietnamese dong. Are you getting the picture of how rates move, how rates fluctuate, and how already on the chart shown by an international firm that we showed you show the strengthening of currencies? It's math, folks. It's math. All public information. Good, young man. However,
if a U.S. bond market collapse triggers the global aversion, capital outflows from emerging markets like Vietnam could pressure the VND downward. In conclusion, number 4. Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. No, you're right. You're right. You're right. No, your conclusion. You're right.
Yep.
You know better than me.
If the U.S. bond market breaks and interest rates fall, the VND could gain value against the USD due to a weaker dollar and favorable trade dynamics, assuming global risk aversion doesn't dominate. However, the SBB's cautions approach and external risk, capital outflows or trade policies might limit significant appreciation. The VND's value will likely remain stable and see modest gains rather than a sharp rise.
Modest gains rather than sharp rise. See, folks, there's different variables that go into play to determine what the initial rate will come out at, and it's going to move because it's going to fluctuate. It's going to float. But many people have been told to rush to the bank, and you only got one chance to exchange. Okay, good luck with that. But I'm telling you, you have opportunities. So, folks, you must understand what Vietnam will do is they will manage the rate. It will be a managed float. Goldilocks has already shown in writing. Let me explain how briefly, folks, if a country all of a sudden, poof, all these countries around the world that are all connected to trade, that are all connected with agreements and tariffs, if they all of a sudden just change their rate overnight to whatever rates that are being posted out there, these especially these enormous, unrealistic rates, those countries would go broke. They wouldn't be able to handle the shock to their system. That's why a float is what will happen. And for those that don't know, Iraq has already stated that they will come out at a fixed rate. The other countries, and this is what Goldilocks has shown for years, the other countries will float. except for Iraq. They'll come out with a fixed rate. And the CBI has directly shared with Goldilocks what that potential rate will be. The CBI shared that with Goldilocks several months ago. Goldilocks intentionally didn't put that out. That's why Goldilocks sits back and scoffs at the false rates that are put out in dinar land when the CBI told Goldilocks directly. D. Okay. Let's continue. Trading bans.
Yep. A trading band is a range within which a currency's exchange rate is allowed to fluctuate under a managed exchange rate regime. Such as a crawling peg or fixed peg system, it is set by a country's central bank or monetary authority to control the currency's value relative to the reference currency, often the US dollar, or a basket of currencies. The trading band defines the upper and lower limits of acceptable exchange rate movements, providing a balance between stability and flexibility.
Think of a trading band, folks, as a ceiling and a floor. A ceiling and a floor. And the exchange rate is in the middle. The trading band, as the rate moves up closer to the ceiling, the central bank will not allow that rate to just bust through the ceiling and blow the roof off the top. They will crack a hole in the ceiling and allow that rate to seep through and control it to a certain extent, and then build another ceiling for that currency rate to eventually float up to. And then once it gets to that ceiling, it won't just pop right through the ceiling. They'll open a little hole, a little gap, and allow the rate to move up through it, and then possibly create another ceiling till it get. And this could be months, years. This is why Goldilocks has shown it in writing that there will be floats for 3 to 5 years. The trading band, again, think of ceiling and floor. The rates have been down to the floor for many years. But as a result of gold, the soon-to-be new world reserve currency, replacing the US dollar, gold has been the catalyst to begin a lot of this with the movement in these currencies. Silver as well. Then when Trump came back in office, he did exactly what his administration said he would do. Currency revaluation was likely to be a priority of the second Trump administration due to the overvalued dollar and the trade deficit. And the weakening, it will be through the weakening of the dollar. These are the mechanisms of how rates are established, folks. This is why having a plan in place with your wealth advisors is important. And for those of you who are thinking, oh my God, what about the gazillion rate that, folks, this, you don't even realize that you can get to, you might exchange for millions with the proper plan in place with your wealth advisors. It could be flipped to billions within a time frame. Why not have a plan where whatever you exchange at, to have a plan where you set up with your advisors to have $50,000, $100,000 a month from your investment returns come to you to live off of. These are plans that you should have in place. I won't go into those details, but this is where having a proper, realistic, not foo-fooistic plan will come into place. Go, young man.
Yep. How it works. A reference rate. The central bank establishes a central or reference exchange rate for the currency. Example, $1 equals 25,000 VND in Vietnam's case. Bandwidth. The currency can trade within a specified percentage or an absolute range above and below the reference rate. For example, plus 5% bands mean that the exchange rate can fluctuate 5% higher or lower than the reference rate.
Mhm.
The intervention. If the currency value approaches or exceeds the band's limits due to market pressures, the central bank intervenes by buying or selling its currency or the reference currency to bring the rate back within the band.
This is what I was saying
Adjustment.
earlier, folks, about intervention, where the central bank won't allow it just to blow through the roof, and they won't allow it to blow through the floor. Meaning the rate. They won't allow the rate to blow through the roof. They won't allow the rate to blow through the floor. They will manage the rate based on market pressures. This is why it's important to pay attention, because this is where market pressures come into play. This is where the FCSE Russell is expected to upgrade Vietnam's stock market to an emerging market economy. This is where we have it in writing that part and partial from the FTSE Russell, Vietnam has officially requested 2 weeks ago from the U.S. Department of Commerce to recognize them as a market economy. Remember, that is part and partial and different from them being recognized or reclassified as an emerging market by the FTSE Russell. Then the MSCI that is looking to reclassify them next year. Market pressures, market economy, pressure on the value of the dong going up. FTSE Russell reclassifying them as an emerging market economy, pressure on the Vietnamese dong to move up. If the currency's value under interventions, if the currency's value approaches or exceeds the band's limits, the ceiling or the floor, the central bank will intervene to make sure it doesn't get out of hand. Adjustments. Go ahead.
Yep. And the systems like a crawling peg, the reference rate and band may periodically adjusted to reflect economic conditions, such as inflation or trade balances.
Ooh. So they may intervene if there's certain economic conditions such as inflation and trade balances. Is that what that said?
That's exactly what that said.
Oh man. Okay. You can go ahead, young man. You can continue.
Am I going with example?
Let's go down to context.
Context? Okay.
Mhm.
Vietnam's context. Vietnam's plus 5% trading band as of October 2022, moving towards a 5 to 15% in Q4 of 2025, supports its crawling peg system, balancing export competitiveness with exchange rate stability. This is critical as Vietnam pursues emerging market status, where foreign exchange restrictions are a key concern for index providers like MSCI. The band allows controlled VND fluctuations while the SPV works on a broader reforms, such as easing pre-funded rules and foreign ownership limits to attract investment.
And those reforms, folks, they have already enacted regulations and laws that ease the pre-funding rules and foreign ownership limits. That's all resolved, which helps them to qualify for the FCSE Russell in September, where October the 7th will be the date that it will be announced if they've been reclassified. Now, this next article that Sniper is going to read, make sure you listen and do not react to what you hear, because if you react, you're going to miss the last paragraph that he's going to read. Again, do not react Listen and pay attention, or you're going to miss what he's about to read. Go ahead, young man.
Yep. Small steps to test the system will begin in an upgrade status to shifting emerging market conditions with significant changes to the band or a move to a fully floating VND are unlikely in the near term, example by 2026, due to the SBV's cautious approach to liberalization.
Now pay attention.
We anticipate the currency will remain near the weaker end of its trading band against the USD through Q3 2025. However, starting in Q4 2025, the VND may begin to align with the broader recovery trend in its Asian currencies as trade-related uncertainties begin to ease, UOB said in a release.
The UOB, folks, is a Singapore investment bank where they have been they in the last link that Goldilocks is sharing here. It shows they're showing just as well as other large investment firms, private investment firms, and I'm sure tier one banks are showing the trend of the Vietnamese dong in Q4, especially with the anticipated upgrading of their stock market by the FTSE Russell. But the thing is, the currency rates are already, the volatility is so strong right now. The movement has already begun in many of the currencies, not just one specific currency, but many of the currencies. The tariffs was a catalyst as well as gold to shake up the system, where many of these countries will no longer depend on the US dollar for their trade. Why? Again, because they do not want to use a weakening dollar in their trade. They will begin to utilize their own currencies. And this is where many countries, folks, are regaining their sovereignty they're regaining their sovereignty. For one, they had to get ready for July 1st for the Basel III endgame, where they had to have an enormous amount of capital in gold, which they all have now. All of those countries, those central banks, having that gold is to back their currencies, to back the dong, to back the dinar, to back all those various currencies, knowing that the US dollar was going to get weaker. They had to have a safe haven, which was gold, and they had to have that safe haven gold to back their own currencies, because they knew that eventually they would have to depend on their own currencies in trade and not the weakening US dollar in trade. All right, young man, you can finish that last one and we're good to go.
Absolutely. The transition from credit to gold has begun.
The transition from credit to gold. Folks, what Goldilocks means, the transition from credit to gold has begun. What that means is the old debt-based system, credit-based, debt-based system is dead. The gold-based system, whereby assets will back our currencies in the new digital asset-based trading system, it's already begun. We are seeing, and as you saw through the charts tonight, through one of the international firms, in fact, there are many members that are seeing these charts, that they're getting feedback from their own private wealth management firms. In fact, if some of them can come on, I believe if Peculiar Ram is still here, I know she's seen some of this from her firm. For some of you that are getting some of this feedback from your firms, if you can raise your hand, I'm going to quickly acknowledge you, because folks, I want you all to see the breadth and the width of Nickel Zinc. If you can unmute, let's get you back on here. Peculiar Ram, are you able to unmute? I know your firm is Aulis here. Some of you that are getting this feedback from your Peculiar Ram.
Hi.
How you doing? I know you're tired. But thank you for coming on, young lady.
I am doing well. I got a little nap earlier, so I'm okay.
Okay, so the meme is real. The meme is real. Okay, appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I just gotta go ahead and just drop that in the room. So are you getting so now I couldn't help it. Couldn't help it. But you've you've been getting some of the same feedback from your wealth management firm, yes or no?
I have, yes.
Excellent, excellent. Now, and your firm is showing in fact, yes, as a matter of fact, you sent me some charts that remind me a
Yeah.
little bit of the chart. Yeah, they
Yep.
show the emerging market currencies and the
Yes.
upward trajectory. That's right. That's
Yep.
right.
And what
Okay.
they
Okay.
project for the 6 to 12 month range, what they
Uh-huh.
see, and this is the second month that
Uh-huh.
he's sent it to me. So hopefully by the end of next week, I have the one
A
for
new one.
September. So that will be,
Uh-huh.
yeah, very exciting. I look forward to it.
See, in that firm, folks, her firm, actually it's a tier one bank that has a private wealth management division.
Yep.
And so they are showing similar to what Nickel Zink's tier one and private wealth management firm showed him. And I know Sniper, I know you've been getting some similar uh, um, feedback from your firm as well on some of this, right? I know
Yes,
you
sir.
I
communicate.
know,
You
Yes,
I
sir.
know
communicate
he
with
does.
every day. This dude is communicating with text message, emails, phone calls.
Yes.
So
We stay on top of it.
if you could share a little bit, if you don't mind, Sniper, about what you're getting, your feedback that's similar that you're getting as well.
They are definitely more involved in what's going on international right now. They are setting up, obviously, with these rates that are coming in getting cut. They're expecting inflation to try to creep back up a little bit. That's why they kind of keeping their eyes open on what's going on. They know that's going to drive down the
Mm-hmm.
dollar.
Mm-hmm.
That dollar is not here. The first 6 months of this year was a signal for them. It was the largest revision in 30 years. Since
Mm-hmm.
1970, actually, was when since they've seen this type of revision in the dollar. So they are looking towards what these trades are, what the agreements
Mm-hmm.
are with them, and obviously those markets that have been outperforming what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's similar to
Absolutely.
what I've been hearing too, or what I've been seeing from mines as well.
Mm-hmm. Wow, it's amazing. It's amazing. Any of our beautiful tribe members that have been getting some similar? I know you guys sharing around like Brunette Grand, the wonderful, awesome Lady Unique, Pistol's mom. I don't know if you guys are able to talk, but if you can raise your hand, I'm just going to acknowledge you very, very quickly because I want to be able to show the difference of different people with different feedback from different firms. The beautiful Brunette Grant. If you can unmute, young lady, Miss Cheesecake herself.
My good
How are you
sis.
today?
I'm doing great, young lady. You doing all right?
Oh yeah, I'm doing fine.
Good, good. Good to hear your
Yeah,
voice.
the three newsletters I got that I had mentioned in chat,
Mm-hmm.
it explains all of that. So my wealth manager number one, I did send her a copy of what I had sent in the room,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, "Yep, she definitely what everybody's saying here." She confirmed it.
Mm-hmm.
I did not get a hold of the wealth manager 2 and the wealth manager 3. As far as wealth manager 3 goes, that asset manager that they have, that's the one that you was talking about in the articles tonight. That's their
Oh,
asset manager.
okay, 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 okay.
Yep.
Now,
That
I just love to hear you say Wealth Manager 1, Wealth Manager 2, Wealth Manager 3. It's just,
you know
I remember you were
you
at
know
just
what's
one.
amazing?
Mm-hmm.
Been sitting here watching the ball game.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I had my headphones in.
Go ahead.
been watching the ball game, and they're one of the second biggest wealth management firm has been coming
Hmm.
on commercials.
Oh,
Mm.
wow.
Now they're advertising.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Wiley
Uh-huh.
knows, probably knows, he's probably seen it, but he knows who is the second wealth management, the biggest one.
Yeah.
You know, they've been
Why I don't
advertising
know
a
why
lot
they say but
more.
on the mute. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Very
Interesting.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And now which wealth manager did you invite over for cheesecake?
That was number two. Number one was
Okay.
nut bread.
Number one was Nutbread. Folks, this is amazing. Where she had two different private wealth managers, one at her home at the kitchen table, one for Nutbread and one for cheesecake. And the one for cheesecake actually offered her a great deal on her currency and her wealth strategy. It was because of the cheesecake, folks. It was because of the cheesecake.
You can't make this
Mary
stuff
Beth
up.
she walked in the door and already had my plan already set up on her laptop.
Uh-huh.
That's
So
that's the meeting that took 4 hours.
right. I remember it was 4 hours. It's amazing. So just Peculiar Ram, Sniper, just think about this. We have Brunette Graham that has a private wealth manager come to, folks, this is a private banker in her home at her kitchen table. Two different ones. Are they were they
Wow.
were they ghosts, Brunette Graham? Were they secret source people or were they real like humans? Were they real like real people?
No, I
Freedom.
touched them, so it was real.
Did
I'm
they
ready to grab my disguise and be wealth manager number 4 here.
Oh goodness.
I'm gonna ask what Wiley would ask you. Did you sign an NDA?
Right?
Get
Yeah,
some.
right.
Did you get some strawberry or some cherry juice from the cheesecake dripped on the NDA? So,
They might have had to sign an NDA
If
about her
there was
cooking.
one there, it deserves the
right.
strawberry dripping, icing dripping all over it. There wasn't
But
such a thing. There is no such a thing.
exactly. But folks, we have some folks here that from different firms, different relationships, different contacts, all saying the same thing. All they did was just follow our steps. And folks, you all have the same opportunity. Unfortunately, we're not going to be there to walk you through and guide you through like we've done over the last year, Wiley, myself, and the tribe. But you have access for free to the information. So, I mean, you got you got Brunette Grand that had wealth managers to her home twice, two different ones twice. Peculiar Ram with her wealth manager met at the 2 hours. Her wealth manager came up and met with her at the mall, the nail salon, and Sniper, him and his wealth manager, they communicate on
Pen
almost
pals.
on a day. Yeah, basically pen pals.
Daily
So
pen pals. You can't make this
yeah,
stuff up, you guys. You can't make
it's
this up.
beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. All right, folks.
Hey, Freedom, real
Did you?
quick, if I can interject.
There you go. I was trying to get you. I thought you weren't able to available. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Multitasking.
Mhm.
If I remember right, Brunette Grand's first person said, "Does this have to deal with currencies?" We aren't dealing with that. She goes, "Okay, fine." She recircled back. We pointed her in another direction. Look where she is
Mhm.
today.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, he gave her the cold shoulder initially. Is that
Yep.
yeah, Bruna Grant?
Yeah, and I mean, I had it all set up. We had already went through 4 meetings. Everything was set, ready to go. But then he started getting the bad traffic coming in.
Oh, that's
And
right. Yeah.
and then he eventually asked me what where the funds was coming from, and that
Mhm.
did it. He completely ignored me after that. Ignored all my emails, everything. So
Mhm.
yep.
that bad traffic was the bank was bombarded with a bunch of people from Dinarland talking Guru Fufu.
Yep, correct.
Yep, and it was a blessing in disguise for her, Wiley, as we can see.
Absolutely, but I can't wait till that call comes back around. He goes, "Hey, you know what we talked about, 6-8 months ago? Can we circle back on that?" She goes, "No, I've made other plans. Thank you very much. Have a nice day."
Right.
Click,
Right.
click.
I'm done with it. I mean, if he had been halfway decent about it, but since his
Mhm.
attitude was out of line, I said, no, there won't be. No, I'm satisfied where I am.
So
But I
it's
think the important piece in that, though, is when you hear a no or you hear I'm not dealing with that, fine. Go find the next one, because that next
right.
one could be your yes.
Yeah,
That's right.
and it was.
And the next one after that was a
And it
yes.
was.
And the one after that was a
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, by the way, remember Freedom? I was telling you that that wealth manager number 3, because of funds.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got 2 emails back from them.
Well,
They're wanting me
uh-huh.
to talk to them, so yep, they made it about
Wow.
on that one too. So yep.
Wow.
Go, best friend.
Wow.
Hey, how are you? Yep.
That is
I'm
amazing.
good.
Yep. Never
Not
let the
done yet,
no's.
though. Not done yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And the key point of that, folks, is never let the no discourage you.
Mm-hmm.
It just means that wasn't your person.
Yeah.
Go
Right.
get that next one. And that could be
Mm-hmm.
the yes, and that could be the one that just sets you on the path like Brunette has. Not only Brunette did it happen to, it happened to Lady Unique. And she is a
Yeah.
textbook case of where you want to be in this. That
Right.
woman is set on, I mean, that woman sat down with her wealth manager in front of her bank, had lunch, and then to add insult to injury, he said, "You're going to take care of my client," and paid for lunch.
Mm-hmm. In fact, okay, Lady Unique is here. Lady Unique, are you able to unmute, or are you at a late church meeting?
She probably digging rings out of the dumpsters.
Oh wow, Lady Unique, if you're able to unmute, please do. We would love to hear you. I guess you're not able to. That's all right. But wow.
She's with wealth manager number 9, talking
Yeah,
plan and
boo.
strategy.
Boo 9.
They coming up to her in the grocery store. How you doing, young ladies? Is there anything we could do for you? Why don't we just save this for the bank? I'll call you. Or better yet, ma'am, could you quit coming here and telling us what to do? We'd like to be able to show you what we can do instead of you
Right.
bringing your encyclopedia in here and breaking it all down for us. We got you. We can do all that.
Mhm.
Let us do our job.
Oh man, that's so funny.
And I love that she's 10 steps ahead of them. And they're like, where are you getting this? Who are you talking
Mm-hmm.
to?
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
What she call it? Her Uncle Wally
Encyclopedia.
Encyclopedia. Yeah,
Yeah.
Uncle Encyclopedia. Oh man,
And I love
that
that
is.
she's throwing her plans to them. And they're
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, you are on it. Do you have a lawyer you're talking to that we need to be plugged into? No, I just
Mm-hmm.
have some
Yeah.
people that are assisting me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not being arrogant about it. She's like, I've learned some
Mm-hmm.
things. I'm interested in these things. Do you have the
Mm-hmm.
ability to do those things? Absolutely. We got it. Matter of fact, she was the first person I know that had a trust outside that she'd got from the Dinar community somewhere at some time at some place. And they're like, well, why don't you let us look at it? It may
Mm-hmm.
not pass compliance and be what you need, because she was wanting to
Mm-hmm.
use it in a different manner than what it was
Mm-hmm.
sold to her as originally. And she asked me if I could look at it. But I said,
Mm-hmm.
well, run that by your bank. I don't need to look at
Mm-hmm.
your stuff. Run that by your bank. They're the people who are
Mm-hmm.
going to tell you. And lo
Right.
and behold, I think they tweaked it enough that it would pass compliance for the
Oh, that's
bank.
right. It did. Yeah.
So so she didn't have to recreate it. Or I could be wrong. They might have redone it for free. I don't remember, but one
Mm-hmm.
of the two, but she floated it by them because she's that far along in her plan that
Mm-hmm.
they said, we don't want you to pay for something again that you've already done. Let's look
Mm-hmm.
at it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be afraid to float these things. I know there's other members here that got free trusts already
Mm-hmm.
set up. They're like, don't worry about
Mm-hmm.
that. We'll handle that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's all about relationships, all to do with relationships.
That's it. That's the bottom
Mike's
line.
Mike's got a pen pal and a daily update, if not a call every day.
Right.
Absolutely.
Just trying to keep up.
Yeah. That's awesome. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Anything else you want to add? Any of you, Wiley, Peculiar Ram?
This is all attainable. This is all doable. You just have to put one foot in front of the other and go get it.
That's it. That is it. All right, beautiful folks. Just know again that moving forward, the QFS Dialogues room will be read only. We will be dropping the podcast every day. You do not want to miss it. You got to stay up to date on what's happening. Goldilocks is really going to bring it to you and show it to you moving forward even more. And then we'll see you on next Saturday, same bat time, same bat channel. All right, everyone have a good night. We love you, folks. Ciao.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.